Hi, it's Michael and Anthony here presenting Small Business Banter. A healthy micro and small business sector means a successful economy and a more vibrant society. Small Business Banter is about helping regional business owners better prepare for the current challenges, but also for the next stage of business success. I'm Michael Kerr, founder of Kerr Capital, advisors to business owners. Each week, with Anthony Turner from the Small Business Mentoring Service, we'll interview a different small business expert or a fellow business owner and get them to share their best tips and insights for you, the listeners. Small Business Banter is brought to you from the studios of 104.7 Gippsland FM and is heard across Australia on the Community Radio Network. Thanks also to our supporters, Kerr Capital and the Small Business Mentoring Service. Okay, so welcome into another edition of Small Business Banter. Our guests today, Mick Mat and Matt Goddard from thevillageco.com. Thevillageco.com, there's two arms to it, but they're heavily entrenched. They're based in regional New South Wales, experiencing some rapid growth, but are serving through their two businesses, local communities in a variety of ways. I'm going to let them both talk about them. So welcome in today, Matt and Mick.
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Thanks, Michael. Yeah.
And also joining today is Anthony Turner, co-host from Small Business Mentoring Service. Good morning, Anthony, or good afternoon.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for having me back in again, Mike.
Okay, Mick and Matt, if I could just hand over to you to give us a couple of minutes about your business and the work you do with local and regional communities through the two platforms that you've developed.
Yeah, love the podcast, Mike. It's great to see you supporting local regional businesses and small businesses. What we do at the Village Co is we're predominantly all about small local businesses. We understand that our management team have come out of the big corporates and understand that these local businesses don't have the resources, the backing, sometimes the knowledge that these big companies do. All our management team sort of got tired of that corporate lifestyle, and we thought, how do we come out and actually live our life with purpose and develop a company that excites us to get out of bed every day? And hence the Village Co was born. Myself, I've had 6 startups, ranging from a laundromat through to a logistics company that we exited at 3M Australia. Matt, I don't know if we're going to touch on your background.
Yeah, I mean, like Mick said, we've got our whole management team's got a great sort of diverse background. I myself got an environmental science degree, and I worked in the environmental field for a fair while, and worked for most of the major mining houses in Australia. And, got sick, like Mick said, the corporate life, the big companies, you don't find a lot of purpose there, a lot of passion. So, we've teamed up on the Village Co, and, we're pretty excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, it's great to hear that, taking what you learnt from corporate but putting it into small business, to your own business, and even more importantly supporting local businesses. So you were introduced to us via First Australians Capital. We interviewed a couple of the very senior people there a couple of weeks ago, and they said we ought to really talk to you about on the show, Small Business Banter. The tagline that got me so immediately intrigued about what you do was keeping money in the village. I just thought that was a fantastic encapsulation of a purpose. So, can you just talk a little bit about the two business arms, the platforms, and how they relate to keeping money in the village?
Yeah, so the sort of the tagline was actually the company name, the Village Co, come out of a conversation between myself, Mick, and Angie, our CFO. I was sort of pressing the guys on, what are we trying to achieve here with this company? And I think it was Angie. Angie said, look, we just want to keep the money in the village, and hence the Village Co was born. But really what it was about is bringing big business resources and big business thinking to small business, and a bit of a desire to not end up with just gyms and cafes on the main streets of our towns. So the two arms of our business, our category, I suppose, that we operate in is the food service sector, the food industry. And we've got, some big plans in this space. But our current two products, Grub Lab and what we call the virtual supply chain, VSC. So just briefly, the Grub Lab is essentially a kids and family entertainment and marketing solution for food service venues. So pubs, restaurants, cafes, and essentially allows those businesses to market, attract, entertain, and provide a great experience for families. Tapping into some of the things that the big guys do, like McDonald's and Woolworths and Coles with their collectibles. We all seen what the Coles Minis and Woolworths Ushies and how that impacted retail shopping. We're bringing pretty similar concepts and pretty similar distribution mechanisms to small business, and being able to bring. We're looking very, very closely at being able to bring big brands like Bluey and Toy Story and Lion King into, and the NRL, the AFL, into small business to entertain kids and attract families, family dining. So that's what Grub Lab's about. Our brand is a really fun brand. We wear pink hats and pink shirts, and we're really, I suppose, trying to stand out and be different there. The VSC product, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. It is a artificial intelligence-backed supply chain solution that really greases the wheels of B2B sales in the food sector. And when we apply that technology to a market channel, we skin it, or we'll brand it specific to that channel. So right now we're moving into the butchers sector, retail butchery sector, and we've branded that platform Butchers United. And ironically, that's sort of where the business started. We did a lot of work with retail butchers in the early days, and we've got a lot of energy and a lot of passion for unlocking the value and the potential in the 3,000 odd retail butchers around the country. So, that's a small, brief overview of the two products, and so where we're at with.
That's great, guys. So what do you see as some of the real challenges for food-based businesses, particularly in regional areas?
Yeah, I guess sticking with the butchers theme, what we see is that the food service or food sector and communities are going two ways. It's either going macro with the Woolies, Coles and Costco's of the world, or it's going to go really micro down to the local farmer supplying product to his local village. Essentially, that's where we're trying to play, and that's probably the disruption we see is how do these guys produce product with the confidence to know they can sell it. One farmer can stock maybe 5 restaurants, with a product where they can't supply a big chain like Coles or Woolies. We're looking to help facilitate that tech solution, the logistics solution, to give them farmers the confidence and support to actually grow their product and push it out into the market.
Yeah, I think that's across all, not only retail food, but also restaurants, pubs, and cafes. Like Mick said, it's hyper local or hyper global, and the Amazons of the world have got their technology sorted. What we're doing is working with the small guys and in that hyper local space.
Okay, so it's sort of like using that Amazon theme. It's sounding to me a little bit like you're bringing all of these small producers and suppliers and everything else together and creating some sort of logistics chain whereby they can compete with some of the major ones. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think ultimately our product will probably evolve in line with what the market needs. But you're right. Right now, we're trying to unlock local to local sales and distribution, and unlock the distribution networks that exist, like national distribution networks, to move local products, if that makes sense. So we did a lot of work with PFD Food Services, great company, big company there. They've got 65 distribution centres around the country or thereabouts, 700 odd trucks. We're looking to work with those guys, to continue to work with those guys to unlock that infrastructure for smaller producers. We did some small pilots with those guys, and there's a long journey in front of us there, but also a lot of potential. What we see with the retail butchers, we've got 3,000 retail butchers around the country who've all got cool rooms, freezers, bricks and mortar stores, sales staff, brands, reputations, and in a large part cold storage delivery vehicles as well. And so there's a lot of infrastructure there, and there's very little technology.
And I think we saw through COVID when the proverbial hit the fan, the big guys dropped the ball and their meat shelves were empty, whereas the little butchers were actually able to be nimble and actually kept the food up to our local communities. If we don't support these guys with resources and technology and marketing and solutions, if they're gone, unfortunately, we don't have that option to fall back when it turns again.
Yeah, the choice will just disappear. Is it at a consumer level? Are we seeing a real desire to around provenance? So where does my food come from? But also, is it supporting local producers and manufacturers? Is that what you're sensing at the consumer demand end?
Yeah, 100%. Especially COVID. COVID has really driven one of the guys we deal with runs a couple of IGAs, and what they saw was that people were no longer driving to the big cities to get their groceries. They're actually shopping local. COVID has actually made the consumer realise they need to shop local. Well, they couldn't travel anyway. So it's then allowed them to understand, the value of their local business. They connect with that local person. It's got a personality. And, traditionally the local butcher, for instance, he sponsors all the teams in the local town. If there's a meat tray to be supplied, he supplies that. But we go to Coles and Woolies because it's convenient and their marketing's next level. But when you go back and actually sample the butcher's product, it's better quality product. He knows where it comes from. He knows what farm it's come from, and he's managed it from farm to plate, in its holistic approach.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen that consumer trend there anyway, but I think COVID really put a rocket up it, and we're now, I know we're now seeing big upshifts in local buying. It's yet to be seen what impact that'll have when the hospitality industry fully opens again. But I think there's consensus that the small business has been able to hang on to a bit of that shift, and we'll continue to hold on to it.
And by the way, on today's episode of Small Business Banter, we're chatting with Mick Carr and Matt Goddard from the Village Co. Guys, one of the next post-COVID or even just next steps for a lot of regional Australia is going to be underpinned by tourism, local and domestic tourism. You just started to talk about wholesale. So yes, you can enable a butcher to do a better job of selling more of their produce, but you're also venturing into the wholesale world. So those key food pubs, restaurants that people visit a town for are going to be able to do a better job of supplying local produce where you're clear about the provenance. Is that a big part of that next stage?
Yeah, certainly in the future. We've got a number of evolutions that we're looking to bring to the market, connecting local retailers with through a wholesale channel with pubs, clubs, and restaurants. There's some of that already happens at the moment, but really, again, greasing the wheels and facilitating that process is certainly part of our future plans, as is a business to consumer application where consumers can actually access the same levels of convenience, marketing, and ease of use and accessibility to those local, butchers, bakers, greengrocers as what they can say now with the click and go and order online with Woolworths and Coles. So we've got products and certainly plans in the pipeline to push into that space as well.
And we have a nice little program that, you touched on First Australians Capital. We've got a nice little program with them guys where we're trying to link 100 native growers, so Indigenous products, to our logistics network that we're working on. I guess that's where we're focused on, is building them relationships and logistic networks that we can unlock for these little guys that don't have someone on the road trying to knock down the doors of these big logistics companies and sales and marketing. We actually perform that function for them.
Sounds great, guys. I mean, some of the stuff that you're talking about, and you mentioned before about tech and everything else. How does the tech play out in what you're doing, and what are some of the challenges you're finding with you're talking about butchers, lots of butchers particularly in regional towns. I know my local butcher in the Yarra Valley are not exactly what you would call tech savvy.
Yeah, so we actually bought a butcher shop ourselves, and that was 2 years ago, to test it for 12 months and understand what was needed from the market. And one of the biggest things we found is that butchers, the demographic of ownership is very old. A lot of these guys are 50 plus, 60 plus, and they're fairly tech phobic. So the big challenge we've had is our tech, especially for our tech team who want to showcase their skills, is how do we actually hide all that technology from our B2B business users? And how do we provide a solution that doesn't scare them and allows them to come on board and actually use it and not be scared of tech? So that's been one of our big pushes, is how do we hide? And there's a lot of effort going into hiding the tech. I guess the reason we tried to, solve these solutions with tech is for scalability. These small businesses don't have 50 grand to throw at marketing and tech solutions. It needs to be scalable. And that was our big driver from, the tech push. We actually did a lot of paper-based, practical, manual type solutions to see, through that pilot phase, what can we do? How can we add value? And we added 17% to one butcher's business in 6 weeks through one of our programs.
Wow. So
significant result. But for us, we couldn't scale that in any sort of commercial terms. So we had to find the tech solution to do that. So that's sort of how we pushed into the tech space.
And we do employ a number of probably unconventional business models and practices, both with our small business virtual supply chain and also Grub Lab. But one of those things with butchers, for example, is we actually bought the Australian Butcher's Voice magazine, which was a national industry-leading magazine. It was pretty tired. It was a pretty tired publication. The previous owner, with COVID, had all but parked it up. And we were able to pick that up, breathe some new life into it, really reimagine what we could put out to the industry. But really that buying that magazine for us has allowed us to get a little bit more entrenched in the industry, understand the sort of day-to-day of a butcher, but also to communicate directly to the butcher and their staff with what we're doing. So by having an industry magazine and being a tech company, owning an industry magazine, a key communication piece to our target industry, has been a really good move for us. And we're able to then, over time, take the industry and butchers and people in the industry who may be tech phobic, we're able to take them along on a bit of a journey, showcase ourselves as thought leaders, and also the fun side of what we do, and we do a lot of fun stuff. So, showcase a little bit of our personality as well. So that magazine, we've now published 3 or 4 issues. It's been, really well received by the industry, and it's going to be, as I said, a key communication piece for us in taking the industry along on that journey. So,
it sounds like a really smart way, to get into at the top level of the industry. I love that you rolled sleeves up, put on the white kit, and bought a butcher shop to actually understand what it's like and how it might be used. What are the challenges? It is a remarkably good way to develop a solution for them when you know what their day-to-day problems are. What I also love about that is you're building sustainability into that butcher shop, that business, aren't you? So that becomes more viable that generation of owners who are 50 or 60 have something to sell, right? If their businesses, you bring in the next generation of owners. A butcher is a key part of the commercial infrastructure of any small town. So I love that from the consumer perspective, but also from the local community perspective.
Probably the biggest lesson we learned out of that shop was that business is tough. Small business is really tough. When you're ordering meat, you're managing butchers and sales staff and all that sort of stuff that goes with it, and paying bills and invoicing and cash flow. It's a really tough slog. And I guess that ignited our passion to actually get behind this and really help the industry. And if we can take some of that marketing and sales and tech pain away from them small business owners who are genuinely sold to the earth people, that's what drives us.
I think if it was easy, we would have done it. We would have been able to. We would have done it 2 years ago. But it's been a journey for us as well. It hasn't been easy finding the right solutions. But that's what makes up an entrepreneur, is that we don't give up.
Yeah, I think one of the great things that I'm hearing there, guys, is the fact that you've actually put your own necks on the block, so to speak, in terms of going out and finding out about the industry that you want to work in. And I think it's sort of a testimony to other business owners that may be listening about the value of research. Maybe you'd like to comment on that research and what it's taught you and how that's led you to where you are now.
Mate, it was probably, to be honest, the naivety was probably a blessing in disguise, because if you knew what you knew and how hard the journey was going to be, I'm not sure we would have jumped feet first and went all in. But the beauty was that journey, it builds that resilience, like you said, and the understanding and the nuances and the languages. And I think every business has got its own language. From accounting through to butchers, it's a totally different language. And then into tech and marketing, it's all got its own language and nuances that you need to work through. And I think getting your arms in there into the dirt, so to speak, and mincing sausages and cutting product and trying to sell it. It's invaluable that you won't learn. It'll take you years to learn that if you're not in there. It really speeds up the process. Yeah,
I think just to add to that too, we've actually surrounded ourselves with some really, really good people. Not only with around the VSC product, but with what we're doing with Grub Lab, which has really taken off in the hospitality sector at the moment. We've got an advisory. We've pulled together an advisory board of just people who we wouldn't have dreamed of being around us at one stage, but people who do the marketing for Harvey Norman and Combank and Gloria Jeans. People, who are national accounting companies. These guys are on our advisory board. Some of them are invested in the company as well. And, it's for us, there's always, every day there's something we don't know. But to have a team around us that we can go to and, get advice, bounce the ideas around, have someone whose opinion you really respect to help guide us as a whole team on not only the technical stuff, but just the growing pains of the business, staff, capital, or its strategy, all this sort of stuff. We've got just an unbelievable team around us that is really...
Running a small business or a startup is a lonely journey. That's probably the thing we've learned. It's super lonely. And, there's times where you're laying there at midnight and staring at the ceiling and think, what have I done to my family? How have I put them in this position? But I think if your vision and your purpose is strong, you'll get through that. And like Matt said, the fact we've got these smart people around us allows us to make these, handle them concerns and questions with ease. They're still tough, but it gives you the confidence that anything that comes up, if you've got the right people around you, you can sort of navigate anything. And a lot of these people will do it for free. So I think small business owners out there listening, that don't be scared to jump on LinkedIn or Facebook and reach out. I think a lot of these successful people, you'll be surprised actually how many will give their time for free. If you're passionate and you want to grow, they'll actually give you their time for free.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've interviewed a lot of really interesting people who are interested in small business, and communication at the moment is all important. Extending to advisory board or having some kind of informal mentoring or other relationship with somebody that can bring a different perspective to your business. It's just so, as you've outlined, so powerful. Look, and I'm guessing a lot of those, the people that are involved, also see your business as having high potential. It's incredibly relevant at the moment with conditions in Australia. We produce some great, world-class food, and we've got world-class towns to visit. So you're really embedding or empowering that. So look, unfortunately, that's the end of our, it's whizzed by that chat, Mick and Matt, but yeah, it certainly has. But look, I just love the big takeaway from me is you developed a solution for an industry. You stepped in, you bought a business, you experienced the pain that owners go through, and you've developed a better solution for them as a result. So power to you for taking that. It wasn't developed somewhere else and then suggested this is a good idea. It's rooted in real life experience. So good on you for that. We really appreciate your time. We've been chatting with Mick Carr and Matt Goddard from thevillageco.com. As we say, keeping money in the village is what you're about, and we look forward to hearing more of where you end up. Please stay in touch, and wish you well. You're incredibly busy at the moment, so we appreciate your time. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, thanks, gents. Great to talk.
Cheers.
So that's all for today's episode of Small Business Banter. Anthony and I continue to be inspired by bringing you small business experts and other small business owners and hearing their stories. For any of the links, resources or information we've talked about on the show today, or to contact Anthony or myself, please head over to smallbusinessbanter.com, or you can find us on both Facebook and Instagram. Anthony and I would love you to tune in at the same time next week for another episode of Small Business Banter.